this and more coming up on Good Morning Texas.
Good morning, Texas. It's Wednesday, March 7th. I'm Raymond Boteo.
I'm Ryan Chandler.
And I'm Rolando Hernandez. Thank you for joining us on GMTX this morning.
You know, I'm so excited. We are 2 days closer to spring break.
Just
and
2 more days, yeah.
We'll get to chill.
Almost there.
I am so done with midterms. Have y'all taken any midterms yet?
I've taken actually 2 so far.
What have you taken?
Amazing. Statistics and advertising, great, amazing.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Don't ask me about them.
See,
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
journalism major. I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't want to talk about midterms, though, because I'm trying to focus on spring break, but I have a midterm on Friday before spring break. I don't know what professor
too.
schedules that.
Drop the
but
class. It's
I,
too late.
yeah, I probably will.
What are y'all going to be doing for spring break?
I am headed to Destin with some friends in like 4 days. So,
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
I've already checked out. That midterm is probably not happening.
Oh, cool. What do you do?
So my parents and I will be taking the boat out to either Arroyo City or the island, and we're just gonna chill and relax, hopefully catch some fish. But other than that, I'm just gonna be chilling. You really?
Oh, well, they're both better than mine. I'll be staying home and watching some Netflix.
Nothing wrong with that. That's
Just
a great
chill.
way to spend break.
Anyway, UT welcomed thousands of children on campus for the Explore UT event. The event featured the diverse type studies that the university offers. From arts to science, you name it, UT has got you covered. Our Gabrielle Wong took us to the scene.
Explore UT, a day where children from all ages across Texas visit campus. It aims to inform students, parents, teachers, and community members about the importance of the public research institution and higher education in Texas. The Department of Mechanical Engineering of Crackle School of Engineering displayed a variety of different experiments.
Know what we do here and maybe encourage people, if that's something that they'd be interested in, to come here and study or find what they might be interested in doing.
One activity stood out from the rest, the Catapult Challenge.
So what we're doing is we're making catapults out of popsicle sticks and spoons and rubber bands, and the object is just to launch a little pom-pom as far as they can, so it's using engineering skills to assemble a little structure.
Marcelo Purago and his wife took their daughter to experience the different field what the university could offer.
Well, I think it's a motivation for having an university career and thinking about the different options. So this is our first year doing this, and we plan to continue doing this the next years.
In front of the building, a life-size catapult was used to show how the device works. Though the rain made the weather felt gloomy, but it sure didn't take away the smile of the children's faces. Gabrielle Wong, Good Morning Texas.
You know, Ryan and Rolly, I honestly love that UT can put on these events for the children just because I personally feel that the children are our future, and it's very important that we start inspiring the younger generation, so hopefully they can lead us into the future.
Oh, yeah.
That's true, that's
Most
true.
definitely, yeah. I remember growing up as a kid, I played Monopoly by myself. We never had any of this
Oh.
engineering thing. What?
No, I know. Seeing all these kids walk around campus this week, it made me remember just a year ago when I was touring schools, trying to figure out where I wanted to go to college. They got a little while before that. But,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Starting at
no.
age 5. Don't do it. Yeah. no.
don't do it. I was going around warning them. Don't worry
Wait,
about it. Take your
stay a
time.
child forever.
No, I miss it. But speaking of, another cool event that happened this weekend was started in 1929. The ABC Kite Fest, held at Zilka Park, has been the longest family-friendly kite fest in the country. Proceeds benefiting the event include the Moss Pirat Foundation and communities and schools. The festival focuses on family values and the importance of child development in the Austin community. Jenkins and his team have signed a pledge with the Exchange Club of Austin in hopes of keeping this festival around for the next 50 years.
You know, honestly, I grew up flying kites because at the time we didn't have the iPod, we didn't have the phones, flying kites, playing with board games, it throws me back and it's very nostalgic.
I could never fly a kite. I don't think I've ever kept one successfully up for more than a few seconds. But no, I should go there for practice.
Yeah, maybe next year. Yeah, you can.
Well,
for
it
sure,
will
definitely
be
get some.
apparently there for the next 50 years, so
Yeah, we'll have
yeah.
plenty of time
we'll
to
be
be,
what,
to be
60,
experts.
70 something by the time they
Yeah.
officially call
It's
it
never
quits?
too late to learn. You know, when I moved here to Austin, I didn't realize there was so much going on. There's all these festivals, all these groups, and I think one thing that's important to talk about is March, because I'm not sure if you know this, fellas, but March is Women's History Month.
Yes.
So why don't we take some time to remember some of the most important and iconic women that have walked the 40 acres. First, we have the ever so memorable Lady Bird Johnson, the first lady to Lyndon B. Johnson. Lady Bird first caught sight of Texas in the late 1930s and instantly fell in love with the city of Austin, specifically because of a field of blue bonnets she saw as her plane landed. Lady Bird received a bachelor's degree in history with honors in 1933 and went off and got a second degree in journalism, cum laude even, in 1934. While on campus, Lady Bird was in numerous organizations and clubs, including one of the oldest women's service organizations on campus, the Orange Jackets. She would eventually receive the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest award a civilian can receive due to her conservation efforts throughout her time as First Lady.
Next is Renee Zellweger, a Texas native who would eventually walk the red carpet and receive 3 Golden Globes. Zellweger graduated from UT with a bachelor's degree in English in 1991. While at UT, she took a drama course as an elective and instantly fell in love with acting. After graduating, Zellweger began acting in small commercials in Houston, Texas, until eventually getting her first starring role in the 1994 horror film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Alongside fellow Longhorn Matthew McConaughey, she would later receive 3 Golden Globes for her work in Nurse Betty, Chicago, and Cold Mountain. In current news, it was just announced in October that Zellweger would be portraying the famous Judy Garland in the biopic file Judy, directed by Rupert Gold.
Very cool. And finally, we have our last Lady Longhorn, although she didn't actually make it to graduation, Janis Joplin. A native Texan, she was born and raised in Port Arthur, and she was ridiculed and teased throughout high school and college, which would lead her to the enrollment at the University of Texas at Austin in the summer of 1962 to study art and to escape her hometown. While on the 40 acres, she found her soulmates in Austin's ghettos, where she connected with the counterculture artists and began booking gigs across town, including at Austin's Threadgills, which is still open to this day. Joplin would eventually be the victim of a cruel prank as a university fraternity nominated her for the Ugliest Man on Campus competition. She would then escape to the Bay Area and begin collecting a local audience there, getting her big break in 1967.
Wow. It seems that some of these ladies have taken on huge roles in Austin, and I think it's very important that ladies like this inspire younger women, just because I feel like younger women have, like, I don't know how to say it, like, I guess high expectations in society, or have to live up to those kind of expectations, so having these role models for them is very important.
For sure, and we receive that want to do big things. The University of Texas is the place to be.
Yeah, it also really shows you to be careful who you're talking to, because they might be someone pretty big in the future.
Of course. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Ryan with the day's top stories.
And we'll take a look at this week's weather forecast.
We'll be right back with more Good Morning Texas.
We're back with Ryan in our News and Weather Center. What's the latest in the news, Ryan?
Thank you, guys. Well, it's election day on the 40 acres, and if you're thinking to yourself, I thought that was last week, well, it was, and now it's time to vote again. Yesterday, the Dean of Students approved an order by the Student Supreme Court to nullify last week's election results. The move comes after the Supreme Court rendered the moratorium that the Election Supervisory Board placed on the Hannah Ganese campaign unconstitutional, and thus the election process was flawed and begs a new vote. Last week, the Colton Meraz campaign avoided a runoff with a 53% take of the vote compared with Hannah and Ganese's 30%, but it's anybody's game now, so be sure to vote at utexasvote.org starting at 8 a.m. today, right after the show, until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Legislative Assembly referenda will also be on the ballot, and results will be announced at 6 p.m. But now moving on to real election news, the Texas primary was yesterday, and the results are in. For Senate, Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz received their party's nominations with 61% and 85% of the vote, respectively. And for governor, incumbent Greg Abbott easily won the nomination with 90% of the Republican vote, while Democratic challengers Lupe Valdez and Andrew White will advance to a runoff. For lieutenant governor, Democrat Mike Collier won the nomination with 52% of the votes, and he'll be facing Republican incumbent Dan Patrick, who earned 76% of the vote. The nominees will face off in the general election on November 6th. And spring break is right around the corner, and if you're staying in Austin, that means nothing else than South by Southwest. So let's make sure that us Longhorns are ready to make the most of it. Here's some of the best events that we see going on around the next few weeks at South by Southwest. On March 10th, CNN is taking over the market on Colorado Street with Christian Amanpour as part of its Facts First campaign. And from March 10th through the 13th, the Viceland bus will be posted on Red River Street for daytime parties open to the public, complete with baby goats. And at midnight on March 15th, chart-topping singer Khalid will be taking the stage at the Trinity Warehouse. But if you're looking to get away from Austin over the break, no worries, because towns across Texas are also hosting plenty of fun events. South Padre Island is bringing in some of the biggest names in music like Post Malone, Future, and Party Favor to the beach. And if that's not your speed, well, don't worry, because the Frio River is also bringing down William Clark Green and some of the other biggest names in country music for the Rio Frio Fest on March 14th through the 17th.
You know, really, the spring break, I'm honestly hoping for clear skies, sunny days, so I can finally start tanning.
Oh yeah, definitely. The weather's been like crazy. I like bring a jacket in the morning. By like 3 o'clock, I have to like wear a t-shirt.
I know this morning, okay, waking up, I got up and I was like, okay, like, it's gonna be fine, and I was so excited to like finally feel a cold breeze come by.
Oh yeah,
And I was
definitely.
just like, okay, something new, something different. Like, I want the spring break weather to come now.
Yeah, where's the sun? Where is she? Anyway, so how's the weather looking, Ryan?
Well, it looks like y'all might be in luck. I know the weather's been a roller coaster recently. One day it'll feel perfect, like it's actually spring, and another day it'll feel like we're back in December, but it looks like we can finally start to welcome in a spring into Texas. It was a beautiful day yesterday, and it looks like we're in for another treat today. We can look forward to a sunny 65 this morning with a low of 41 tonight. Tomorrow we'll see a little bit of clouds come back with a high of 67 and a low of 51. And on Friday, you might have to bring an umbrella to class, though, as we may face some spring showers. There will be a 20% chance of light rain with a high of 71 and a low of 61. And even though Saturday is the official start of spring break, the weather won't really look like it. We're gonna have to wait a little longer for that perfect spring weather. We're in for a wet and muggy Saturday morning with a high of 82, but that will calm down by Saturday night when the rain takes that humidity away and it drops off to 58, so we can start the first night of break off right. This may be the official end of the icy cold weather we had this winter. Longhorns enjoyed this beautiful March weather, but be prepared in case it rains on you this weekend. Live from the Weather Center, I'm Ryan Chandler.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Well, good luck getting that tan, Raymond.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm just glad I get to pull out the shorts and just the regular t-shirts now. I can put
Oh
away
yeah,
the
most
coat
definitely on the beach.
and the
with the
sweaters.
sand. Yeah.
Well, don't go anywhere. We got some poetry coming your way.
Stay tuned for more Good Morning Texas.
We are here with Michael Liu and Louis Bomesco. These UT students were granted $10,000 from the university to work with drones to save water. So, guys, this is such a cool project. Give us a rundown of what these drones do and like how they work.
Right, so we're really using a kind of basic off-the-market drone that's outfitted with a specialized camera that can do something called NDVI sensing. That's basically what this does is it gathers information about the state of the vegetation of the area, and so by looking at maps that are gathered of the LBJ lawn, which is what we're looking at right now, we can actually tell which areas are lacking irrigation and which ones need more water, less water. So.
Wow. Okay, so besides saving water, these drones must save a lot of money. Do you know how much money they would be saving the university?
So we don't know the hard numbers on the money savings, but if we could target about 20% of savings from the LBJ lawn, that would equivalent to 2.3 million gallons of water per year. So in terms of monetary costs, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if we decide to expand this project further on and tackle other landscapes, that number could be even larger.
Okay, wow. So what inspired you guys to pursue this project?
Right, so actually our team has a pretty significant history working with drones. Back in high school we did this national kind of design competition where we actually had to build and design our own drone. And so from there, we've kind of been just doing all sorts of drone projects, kind of, bringing it to the UT campus with the drone sustainability project, and actually kind of building off of all that experience that we have. We've actually gone on to start our own drone.
So you've grown up with this. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the past few years, I mean, it's really something that has defined our experience the past couple of years. And so we're really looking to kind of continue expanding that within the UL community.
That's great. That's great. So how often do you guys operate the drones, and what does this entail?
So we did our first operation about 2 weeks ago, and that was the very first one that any student body has done officially on UT. And that was our very first one, but we plan to do this regularly about twice a month, and then get that recurring data set so we could use that data to optimize irrigation systems. But ideally in the future, this would be autonomous, so we wouldn't have to man it ourselves, and that drone could just fly by itself and gather data and input it into the computer without any manual labor.
Okay, cool. So I guess with this, is there any other university that you know of that's also contributing to this water saving project?
Right. So as far as we know, actually UT is kind of one of the only universities around the nation that is actively kind of allowing students to use drones on campus. As far as we know, we're the first project at UT where we've gotten official university approval to fly drones on campus. There are a lot of regulations and laws in place right now that prohibit drone use in a lot of cases, simply because there's still a lot of questions surrounding the technology and what you can actually do with it. But it is kind of expanding, and we foresee within the next couple of years, kind of both at UT and across the nation, drones becoming much more prevalent.
Of course. So will you guys be working on any future projects like this later on?
Right. So as I mentioned, actually all of our experience we've carried into starting our own drone consulting startup, and so you should be seeing us around Austin, working with local businesses to help them bring their own enterprises to these guys.
Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. Thank you guys for coming out. And for all of you, stay tuned for some poetry coming your way on Good Morning Texas.
And we're back with Niti Majetya. Niti is a student here at UT, but she was also a published poet. So Niti, how did you get into poetry?
Well, I actually started writing poetry when I was really little. I remember we used to do nursery rhymes in school, and I would be super obsessed with learning them, and I was just fascinated by them. So I started writing when I was around 7.
Oh
6
wow,
or
yeah,
7.
you're a really young age. Okay. So do you have any inspirations to your poems?
Yeah, I think my family is probably one of my biggest inspirations, and just generally, I think everything inspires me. Everything in normal life inspires me.
Yeah, I always hear that from artists, saying that just life imitates art.
Yeah, that's
okay.
the best part. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you have any poets that you kind of look up to?
Well, I think I really look up to Warstenshire, but I think when it comes to modern poetry, there aren't too many. There's Mary Oliver and Warstenshire.
Oh, I personally love Sylvia Plath. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, I love Sylvia Plath too. Yeah,
right, okay,
yeah. She's not a contemporary poet, so I was Sylvia Plath is the best.
She's hardcore. So what's your major? Do you plan on pursuing poetry as a full-on career, or is this something you do on the fun? Oh, you do.
I do, but not just poetry. I'm probably gonna write for magazines and stuff as well.
Oh yeah, an author too. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely spoken word is something I'm interested in.
All right. Well, let's get a chance to hear it. The floor is yours.
Okay. And it was published in the Women of Venus. Okay, so it's called The Battle Cry. If she wears little clothing, she's labeled and degraded. But ironically, it's nudity that sells the most. There are industries that make profit off of making women feel uncomfortable in their bodies, the same bodies that have enough power to give life. We worship goddesses, but also treat women like commodities. We rape, we abuse. We lust after them, only to forget that they are actual breathing beings with emotions and beating hearts. Under all the complexities and all the chaos, if only they knew that we are human. All of us. Human, 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 human. We are human, even though we often forget to be. And we're all a little broken, but we're still standing on our feet. You see, this is all we have to call home. This body, this forest full of wildfire. And sometimes, to feel the light, you have to burn. Now is your turn.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much
Thanks.
for
That
coming.
means a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you all so much for coming out this morning, and thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Good Morning TX. I'm Rolando Hernandez. Have a wonderful day.